Hey, how's it going? Let me just make sure yeah, okay. I can hear myself. Kind of, taking a break a little bit, and I mean, everybody should. Just vacationing, doing a little fishing and whatnot, but I did want to talk about because there's been a lot of, well, the ramifications of what's going on economically and with regards to our liberties is monumental. It's beyond anything we've ever seen. Um, I guess this little segment what I'm going to do here, I'm going to talk about the unemployment numbers and what the unseen of what's going on there. So one, before all this happened, if anybody with half a brain that looked into it knew that the unemployment numbers were faulty or they're contrived by the government, they're manipulated, and then any comparison from previous years we know is ingenuous at best, since we know that they changed the way they count um, the unemployed a number of times throughout from the 60s, I believe, up into the 80s. They've changed it a number of times, and even recently in the 2000s. And it seems to be more advantageous always for the politicians when this happens. It's never the other way around to capture more of the data. It's usually to minimize the impact of what's actually happening in the economy. Sorry, I got my dog. Anyway, Ruger, keep it down, bro. Keep it down. But let's go on to what's going on now. So we all know that the numbers are going to be horrific, one way or the other. I think it was like there was a 6 million print, there was a 5 million, and then today there was a 4.4 million. I just rounded the other ones, but it was pretty bad. But here's the thing that you do not see on that. So what are they're saying like 26 million people. I think it's vastly greater than that. And here's why is because, I mean, myself, I've the job that I have, I wasn't a 1099 guy, so I was working in the oil field, get laid off, but you try to file for unemployment. I mean, you pay into it, the systems are antiquated in almost all states. It seems like I've heard from a number of people from other states, Texas, Arizona, a number of different states. I'm sure it's the same because where I'm at, in the northern state, it's horrific. I hear from people there as well, and what happens is, I guess there's some people that are just going through and they're getting it, and that seems to be working out for them. Ruger, calm down, dude. But there's a lot of people. I'm talking about thousands, if not millions, I bet, that are not getting their unemployment. They're calling in. They're doing all the right things. The systems are crashing. They can't get a hold of anyone. I know the state that I'm at. You try to call in there, it's like a dead number. It's as if somebody just took the phone and set it off the hook. Then you try to get a hold of anybody, whether it be through the email, and then you get some generic response. Then you go on the Facebook, because it seems like that's where you get a hold of people, is on Facebook, or at least when it comes to business, because you rate them or whatnot, even in government institutions. So you do that, and you get somebody, or I could read underneath a lot of the deals, at least from my state, that they were actually responding to people on there, and nobody's getting fixed. They cannot deal with all this. So here's what I want to do conservatively. I tack on another 10 to 20% on any of this unemployment numbers, because there is we remember the shadow inventory of houses. Well, we got a shadow inventory of unemployed, and I'm not even talking about how they count the numbers, because we know the numbers are cooked. The books are cooked on that, and we know the unemployment number was greater. So now let's just take the government's numbers, and on this other end of this equation of the people that are filing, we know that there's a lot more that they just can't file, or they have filed, but it's so contrived, or the systems are so antiquated that they're crashing it. It's incredible. So attack on another 10 to 20%. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. That's the gist of it. Is you got to think about that. You talk to somebody, go to some of these states' unemployment Facebook pages, and look at all the people. Look at all the people. Talk to people, because now we're in a depression. This is it. Like I said, I was hoping for another. I think there'll be another push up, and then you'll have the currency crisis. But right now, this is the beginning of the collapse. America will never be the same. And I think it was in a number of empires. I think it was the Roman Empire. I want to say is like at the end of it, or It actually, it split off, and you had the Eastern Empire that lasted for another like 1,000 years or whatever. But in the West, when things are starting to fall apart, oh wait, yeah, you can go there. Things are starting to fall apart, and a lot of the news is contrived, and they're just making up stuff, and they're trying to keep patchwork everything together. But look at like Iraq when we invaded that. You had what was that guy that he sat there and he's, oh yeah, we're actually winning. There's no Americans here. We pushed them back and all the other jazz while the tanks are rolling in behind them. That's pretty much what our government is right now. They're trying to keep everything together, but by utilizing these numbers, but there is underlying variables underneath that are there that are just horrific. It is bad. Now you go into that. So unemployment. Well, there's conflicting studies, or whatever, but it's pretty logical to see once you go down that trail of logic, if you can even do that anymore, or just reason, how unemployment or being unemployed affects your well-being. It affects your ability to even, to feed yourself, your psychological health. Oh, hang on, I got dogs barking. Hey, shut up! Gosh damn, man. Little buggers bark at everything. Anyway, you can see how this affects. Now, how many more? To me, it's obvious that this is going to kill more people than this virus itself. I mean, there's a lot of things that kill more people than the virus. Now, that's not to say you can be concerned about. See, we're overplaying this. Now we're seeing our civil liberties are being eroded. We're seeing economic devastation. We're going to see starvation. Maybe starvation is going to happen all around the world because of what's happening here. Weird inequalities of supply, and you're already kind of seeing that with certain food commodities. There's going to be just a psychological effect on the people. But anyway, man, I lost my train of thought. But the ramifications of this it's you can't understate it right at the moment. It's bad. It's bad. It's worse than the virus. Now, that's what I was saying. It's like, granted, before, I've been saying, this virus is a bioweapon. Now, the propaganda or the reason it was released, we don't really know. We know that over there in Wuhan, they're doing some crazy stuff. Was it game time for this bioweapon? I don't think so. In my personal opinion, I think it was an accidental release. But regardless, it's almost like never let a crisis go to waste. They pushed the domino, they put the blood in the water knowing what the sharks would do. That's what I feel like. It's almost like that. It's like, okay, you kind of know how these people are going to react. And yeah, it was an accident, but yeah, let's just let this play out. Once they get the opportunity, the sharks pounce, and that's kind of what our politicians are doing. And this should be an eye-opening event for Americans. And this is, like I said before, this is like a time to really reflect on when things get bad, how people act and how they're going to react. Because it's going to get bad. Hopefully we have a little bit of relief and seemingly better times. Because it'd be nice to be able to go outside. There's people being arrested for playing with their kids. There's irrational restrictions being placed by governors. It's just, you can see how power corrupts. But anyway, I was going on unemployment numbers. The point being is that when you see those prints, look, excuse me, Ruger, damn dogs. When you see those prints, do a little investigation. Just don't buy into the numbers. I mean, it's in like the last stitches of any empire. I mean, a lot of the numbers and everything is cooked. The government or the powers that be will manipulate whatever they can to control narratives, and they keep the people at bay. But there's so many people out of work now, and God only knows. But I've said it before, it's not the end. A lot of great wealth is created during times of struggle like this. What you need to do is find something of value to do. Educate yourself, create things that will we're can't get my jaw. Anyway, find things to do, find productive capacities of whatever you're good at, and provide for your fellow man, and start businesses, and also any assets that you have. Find ways to protect those things, but we need to actually, since they're printing money like you wouldn't believe, we need to produce. We need to produce as much to mitigate as much as we can, but that's also hard because when you're printing the thing that you're supposed to be able to derive value with, it makes it pretty difficult. But look out, invest in yourself, and let's try to make the best of this and come out the other end. I don't know what kind of country we will be when we have this currency crisis, but I know there's a lot of good people out here, and we'll do something. We'll figure it out, and I know I'm not going to settle. If you got kids, this is what we're passing down to them. So we got to do something. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.